If you want to be a victim of Candyman, simply look in a mirror and say his name just 5 times. He'll then show up and take all your blood with his great big hook. I'm Charles Renton with the retro review of Candyman, written and directed by Bernard Rose, based on the book The Forbidden by Clive Barker. And boy, you can see Clive Barker's fingerprints all over this goddamn thing. And it came out all the way back in the way distant past of 1992. My God, the technology has really come a long way in nearly 30 fucking years. This stars Virginia Madsen as Helen. Virginia Madsen back then, Virginia Madsen now. I would, and you would too. She still looks fucking great. And she, anchors this movie all along with the titular character played by Tony Todd. And I reacted to the word titular with the good taste and maturity you've all come to expect from me. And if you believe that, you are clearly new to this channel. So, Tony Todd, great character actor. He was great in The Rock. Seriously, he was fan-fucking-tastic. He was great in the remake of Night of the Living Dead in 1990. And he was great as Candyman in the 3 movies. Yes, I actually did 3 movies before doing a reimagining that's coming out in just a couple days. And that's why I decided to retro-review this movie. And also, he was great as Bloodworth in the Final Destination movies. Because he was pretty much the only character that had any character outside of the first movie. So let's be honest, basically just got to the death scene torture porn thing after that. This is about Candyman, though. So if you're unfamiliar with the movie Candyman, well, I'm going to be spoiling some of this because the movie's been out for nearly 30 years. And I do want to say that, much like Clive Barker's work, this kind of gives me a few vibes of Hellraiser. I will explain why. Really, you just have the titular villain, and then you have a woman that is being targeted. It's pretty much the only comparisons, but also the fact that this woman makes a bunch of dumb decisions that ends up leading to this, villain coming after her and everything. No, there's no Pandora's box and everything, but there are some other things. So, basically, Virginia Madsen's character, Helen, I can't state enough just how fucking great she looked in this and how great she looks now. But she was great in Sideways, seriously, Sideways. Sideways, the movie, by the way, the dramatic comedy, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but basically, the premise of this is, yep, you say Candyman's name 5 times into a mirror, and then he shows up and says, "Ha-ha, be my victim." And he has a hook on his hand. Why does he have a hook on his hand? We find out a little bit later. So the scrolling weird credits that just kind of did this shit was kind of ridiculous. Also, Vanessa Williams, no, not that one, is in the cast. And actually, she's a very terrific actress. She's just not the iconic singer that whenever I hear that song, Save the Best for Last, I always hear it as Took It Up the Ass. For again, I'm a mature individual. Let's move on. We hear Candyman narration. I would have actually preferred him to narrate this entire goddamn thing because it would have been more entertaining. They'll say I shed innocent blood. What is blood if it's not for shedding? With my hook for a hand, I will split you from groin to your gullet. And then we have bees. No, not the bees. Oh, they're in my eyes. And we find out what the bees mean. What's the bee's knees? What's the bee? I think that's how the kids say it. But anyway, man, those scenes really stung me. I'm going to have a lot of bad puns during this. So anyway, sudden onset flashbacks. We have Candyman either in the 50s or maybe in the 80s, subbing for the 50s because they didn't have a big budget outside of the gore effects. And we find out about a woman that got killed because she said Candyman into the mirror a few times and this guy's hair turned white, which tends to be a recurring theme. We just see it. It's kind of like the movie It, the TV version, not the actual, not the, good version that came out in 2 movies. No, the one that had John Ritter and Tim Curry and Annette O'Toole and somehow managed to be really fucking boring. So anyway, one of the first lines that's said by any of the characters after Helen is doing this thesis along with her friend Bernadette is she goes in to see her husband who's a professor and he says, "There are no alligators in the sewers." Aha! That movie Alligator in 1980 would say otherwise. Pretty entertaining movie. Should retro review that. So yeah, the creepy professor flirting with his student is creepy and also wrong. And geez, the wife suspects this early on. And really, we should always listen to the wives or significant others or on the opposite side of this that know when somebody's going to cheat. Really, college professors, men or women, should not cheat with their students. They shouldn't even sleep with their students. This is getting weird. So, the early 90s computer technology of just it reminded me of when I played Doom on the first ever PC that we had, which was a lot of fun. But man, those freaking early chat windows. It was like when I watched Fear Street 1994 movie. But she keeps researching Candyman for her thesis, and she figures out, there's, these hidden areas in this, old condo, this, old area that's, It's got a lot of graffiti, but it's also got some nice rooms, and there's these weird things where murders happened, and these rooms were not torn down, they were just built around, because that's what you fucking do when you want to try to sell a place. Don't tell anybody that murders actually took place. Build around it. That's great realtor work. So anyway, I do also want to say the music, the attempts at operatic music are absolute shit. I mean, absolute goddamn shit. They're not dramatic. They're ridiculous. But Virginia Madsen and Tony Todd and even the actress playing Bernadette do a really good job anchoring this thing, because despite the writing not necessarily being crisp, I mean, it's not awful. It kind of relies on the performers to succeed in spite of that. And so she studies up on this, Helen does, and she says Candyman and into the mirror while she's trying to do this research, and oh no, she ends up being fucked. Because the one thing you want to do is when you're told that if you say a name 5 times into a mirror, you're fucked, is to do the exact same thing, so you're fucked. Man, again, that music's really got... It's not even that I don't think the composer's bad. It's just the music feels really phoned in. So there's some cliched, early 90s gang guys that are wearing colors so goddamn bright people from the space station and possibly the dark side of Mars can see. And she's, along with Bernadette, taking pictures of this, this hallway and everything hidden in, it's this weird thing hidden in this mirror, like where, oh, you're in this area, this room where all these, things happen, like all these terrible things happen, like the woman that got killed in the beginning and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, it takes a while for Candyman to actually appear, so for a movie named Candyman, he's only in it about 20%, but Tony Todd definitely makes it worth it when he shows up. The camera flashing, and then camera smashing, here comes the flash, here comes the smasher. And, oh no, there's she comes out of the mouth of not Madness, but Candyman. She comes out of Tony Todd's mouth. Never mind. So anyway, she finds candy with razor blades in it, and all this hidden stuff. And the problem is the subsequent sequels, Farewell to the Flesh and Day of the Dead, yes, they actually made a third Candyman movie. I'm as surprised as anybody else. Kind of tried to, let's have them move around, let's have them do all this stuff, and they got the law of diminishing returns because, oh yeah, they didn't have Virginia Madsen in it. Kind of made sense given what happened in this movie. So they talked to Anne Marie, who has a very nice room there. She has a kid, she has a dog, big old doggo. And she, heard the screams and everything of people that were dying, but the cops didn't come. And then Helen was quite driven and bitchy because this one professor friend was talking down to her and says, I'm going to have a thesis that's going to beat your book. Aha! And then Candyman was the son of a slave and an artist. And he fell for a white woman whose dad was not happy and had him killed. His hand sawed off with a rusty blade. And then they stripped him. They smeared honey on him. And they had the bees sting him to death. And then they burned him. I think I can understand why Candyman's just a little bit absolutely pissed off at everybody. I would be too. So anyway, that was definitely... I mean, they didn't really show much. Watch them probably show every goddamn thing in this subsequent sequel. But... there was a kid named Jake, not Big Jake, but Little Jake, so we don't get any Western stuff, more in the pity. And he says it's a mistake for her to be here alone or whatever, and that he can't tell her because Candyman will get her. Well, it'll be our secret, she says. You're not scared, are you? So he shows her how, this area, this bathroom, where it used to be across the street from a store that has since been torn down, that this kid was, this kid has nuts cut off. This kid was... yeah. Ow. Ow. Oh, you can't repair that. Better off dead. The kid playing Jake actually did a pretty good job here. He wasn't in too much of the movie, but he was in enough to make it matter. Not like People Under the Stairs. Quick question. Should I retro review People Under the Stairs for October? In the comments, please. So, eventually, she ends up caught in the middle of these black people trying to kill her. This guy's got a hook and everything. And it turns out that they get arrested. And she says to Jake, hey, you don't have to go to trial. The cop even says that, don't worry. And he says, well, Candyman will come for you. I mean, I would. But anyway. So, I mean, come for Virginia Madsen. How could you not? I might like Virginia Madsen quite a bit. So anyway, she's in a parking garage and everything. And he's like, I came for you. And he's like just saying, Helen, be my victim. I, am the writing on the wall, all these, poetry things and whatever and all this stuff. And he's just having fun. And she wakes up covered in blood and screaming. It's like something got taken out of her. Oh no, she got hooked. What happened? Well, it turns out she's in Anne Marie's apartment. And the dog's dead, but it's such a fake-looking dog head that I really can't write the movie off there because I don't like animal violence in my movies. I don't. I fucking hate it. Horror movies or otherwise. Can't fucking stand it. But then, the baby's been taken. Oh no, what the hell's going on? And Anne is upset because she sees that Helen has the meat cleaver that she picked up. Because that's the first thing you fucking do, is you pick up a meat cleaver when you're in a place you don't understand. And then she ends up, trying to get Anne over, hits her in the arm and stuff like that. Why she does that. And so she's taken into custody and everything. And, well, that didn't end up going too well because she's under arrest. But then, of course, because she's a white woman and that was a black woman she attacked, naturally nothing in 30 years has changed. She is released on bail, awaiting trial. So it gets weirder. She has visions of Candyman dancing in her head. And then, she checks her slides and sees that Candyman's been stalking her for a while. What? I'm shocked. So anyway, we then... At one point, she's like in her apartment, and then slam right through, it's like, Candyman, I guess, just needed some Advil or something, but he's like, I reached through with the wrong hand. Could you help me? It looks like he's driving. How would he drive with a hook hand anyway? It was like, no. Anyway, he tries to do that. That didn't work. It's like, be here and be my victim. Believe me, I have the child. Let me take you and I will let him live. Because you want to trust a guy that was victimized and terrorized and is a killer, and a demonic killer, that clearly he will do the right thing. He will be honorable. So then, her friend Bernadette ends up dead. More like Bernadette. I'm proud of these puns. And then she's hunted by Candyman in a psych ward because she's taken to a psych ward because, oh yeah, when you're brought up on possible first-degree murder charges, first thing you want to do is be caught trying to, and had it made look like you had killed your best friend. So everything just kind of fucking, goes tits up after that. He floats above her and everything with wire technology because Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon hadn't come out yet. And The Matrix hadn't come out yet. Allow me at least a kiss. I mean, hell, I don't know what guy would turn that down from her. So anyway, enter Dr. Burke, who isn't around very long. He says, I'm on your side. And then she says, Candyman into a mirror 5 times. And he gets killed. I mean, his hair island clearly meant that he should have been killed for that. When you get to where you're bald, let it go. I do. That's why I shave my head. So she does the dramatic music's fucking ridiculous. She goes back to her place and it turns out that her husband and the student that he was flirting with earlier actually are sleeping together. What? And she kind of confronts them and everything. He had Virginia Madsen. Why would he need to look anywhere else? Just saying. So she basically goes... she kind of has to go to the place to find out what the hell is going on here. And, she has to basically just, take the place of the child and she'll be all right. It's like, you need me, you belong to me, come be with me, and oh, I'm gonna have bees all over my goddamn ribs. It's the bee rib. It's honey roasted ribs. It's like honeycomb, only it didn't sell nearly as well. Probably because you can't put milk on that and make it taste any better. But then, it was always you, Helen. It's painted on the wall. Maybe it turns out that Helen has lived past lives where she was a killer. Or maybe Helen is a descendant of the person that he slept with. That's likely the case. I mean, the audience can interpret it in their own way, even though I pretty much just spelled out what it was. So then she ends up climbing this pile. She's back in the real world because Matchbox 20 could not get the real world to stop hassling them. And she climbs this pile of, like, discarded furniture and stuff like that. And Jake is leading people to basically burn this pile because Candyman's there. Because somehow he knows that. So she finds the kid in there. And then, Candyman finds her and everything. He's like, you lied to me. Well, yeah, he's a fucking killer that was victimized and destroyed. And he's vengeful. How could he have not lied? Anyway... So it's an inferno, and then she stakes her claim by burning him with a stake, an actual burning stake. She's on fire, her hair's burned off, and she ends up rescuing the kid, and Anne's all, happy and everything. And so there's her, now, not husband anymore, because that's the best word I can come up with, and the student. And then the people show up, including Anne and Jake, and they have the hook. They drop it in the grave, and oh, what does this mean? He's crying on the toilet. And the student's like, why are you upset? She was your wife. You cheated with her. Come on, help me make a salad. Ow, I accidentally cut my hand. Ow. And he's crying on the toilet and says, Helen, 5 times in the mirror, learning nothing from what happened earlier. And then she shows up. I don't care if she's burned. Still would. And kills him. And then he's dead in the tub. And the student is all goddamn upset and everything. And that's pretty much it right there. Yeah, there we go. And then we just do a panning shot on the mural where it's obvious that Helen was, had lived these past lives and everything. So yeah, I can't necessarily say the movie is great, but it does have its moments. And the gore is nice. Once Tony Todd shows up, it picks up, because you can only rely on Virginia Madsen in a horror movie so much before a movie called Candyman has to actually fucking feature Candyman. But let's see how the new one is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Redlin. I'll see you soon.